Hey everybody, this is Melina. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. Today, we are going to make some last minute Christmas cards. If you have not made your Christmas cards, fear not. I have two simple cards that are going to get you through this holiday season. So you will need a cutter of some kind, paper cutter. I am using this tag punch from We Are Memory Keepers. You don't necessarily have to have this, but we are making a tag on one of the cards, and so it comes in handy. If you don't have it, scissors and a tiny hole punch work just as well. A pair of scissors, some foam dots, some kind of adhesive, tape, and then you will need some liquid adhesive and just a couple of dots. So not a lot. If you are low, don't worry about it. Most all of this can be things that you get from your stash. I am using the paper pad, the 6x6 paper pad from Prima, called Christmas in the Country. I love it because it's kind of farmhouse looking, and farmhouse is all the rage now in home decor. So I thought, why not? This was in the November kit from scrapbookingwithme.com. So I wanted to go with it because it had some great vintage kind of papers in it. I am also using the stamp set that came in that November kit from May. I'm also going to be using, of course, along with the stamp, some black ink and some brown ink. Those are Memento. I got those from scrapbookingwithme.com. You'll need stamp blocks, of course. Let's see. You'll need some pattern paper. You're going to need some, and you, like I said, you don't have to use this paper. Any Christmas pattern paper will do. You will need, not necessarily have to have, but a bone folder always helps when you're making cards. Some plain white cardstock. And just a scrap piece of craft cardstock. And then you will need some baker's twine. And this is just from my stash, close to my heart. Bought it years and years and years ago. Stamp It Up, bought it years and years and years ago. So it's just in my stash. Other than that, I think we are covered. If we come across something while we're making, I'll point that out. I did mention the tiny hole punch, and I get that with my tag punch from We Are Memory Keepers. But if you have a small hole punch, that's what we're going to be using here. And you can use your crocodile, any kind of tiny hole punch. So you will need that. We are going to start with this 3-banner Merry Christmas card. Okay. So what we are starting with is a white card base. And you're going to accomplish that from your 8.5 by 11 sheet of white cardstock. And most everybody knows this. If you've been making cards for years, you can fast forward through this part because it's basic and you know. But for my beginner card makers, I wanted to show you, for an invitation size card, you will take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, and according to how you want it, if you want it standing tall like these are, and opening from the bottom, see, you are going to cut it in half long way. So 8.5 is how wide we have here. So you're going to cut it at 4.25 if you want a tall card. And that will give you a 4.25 by 4.25 by 5.5 once you fold it card, tall standing card. If you want a wider, shorter card, you would turn your cardstock. This is 11, so you would cut it at 5.5. And then when you fold it, you would have a short, wide card at 5.5 by 4.25. For both of these cards that we're making today, we will cut at 4.25 long way. Okay, so get your paper cutter. I've already scored my little bitty line here at the bottom. I like to give myself a little fingernail indentation where I'm cutting, because Melina not too good at math sometimes. So we're going to cut, and we have 2 tall pieces of cardstock now. And what we do, here's where that bone folder will come in handy. You're going to fold it in half. And use your bone folder and get you a nice, crisp, clean fold. Okay? So there is your card base. You're going to do 2 of those. Let's go ahead and get that done. Easy peasy. Okay? So you have 2 card bases. Now, for this 3 banner card, I have used a plainer piece of pattern paper just so that these 3 banners would show up a little better. So this is kind of a plain Jane kind of pattern paper, and I found it in this 6x6 paper pad from Prima. And you are going to cover the entire base. So your base of your card is 4.25 by 5.5. You're going to cut a piece of pattern paper out of your 6x6 paper pad, or whatever size paper pad you have. You're going to cut a piece of pattern paper 4.25 by 5.5. And I have that here. You're going to get one of your card bases, and you're just going to adhere it to the top. Okay? I always see the double-sided paper. That backside is such a loss because it's so pretty. But sometimes you have to use a pretty side and cover up a pretty side, don't you? Okay. So there is that. We've just covered the front of that. All right. Now, next, you will need to find 3 other pattern papers in your paper pad that coordinate with this. So I have picked those 3 for that one that I made. I cut 3 more. They're almost identical, but it's okay because we're using our scraps. We're getting these last minute cards done. Okay, so these 3 banners measure 1 inch by 4.5 inches. Okay? And you're going to figure out how you want them lined up. I say the bolder one goes in the middle to separate the floral ones. All right, and then to make that banner tail that I have here, all you're going to do is get your handy dandy snippers. These are the best little scissors, and they do well with fussy cutting also. They're from Cutter Bee. I got these from scrapbookingwithme.com also. Now, for those banner tails, used to, when we would cut the banner tail, we would fold this in half and snip it. But then when you bring it back, you've got this crease down the middle. I don't like that. And used to, when we would make banner tails, we would make them very deep. That was how they should be. That's how everybody liked them. Well, now I'm seeing a trend where the banner tail is just barely done. See how shallow? I'm getting a shadow here. See how shallow that banner tail is? That's what we're going to accomplish today. So you're going to start at the corner and make sure if you have pattern paper that has lettering, see, like this one plainly starts to say Christmas here. So you're going to want to put your banner tail at this end. So make sure that you're watching that if you have pattern paper with a design or writing on it, okay? So you're going to start here at the corner and you're just going to go shallow. Now remember, you can go a little deeper later if you need to. Go as shallow as you think you want it first. And you're just going to snip to what looks like the middle to you. All right? And then you're going to come around and you're going to come to this corner and you're going to snip again. And there's your banner tail. And that is as shallow as I would like it. It is not perfection. I don't go for perfection. If you've watched any of my YouTube videos, I am a simple crafter and I am not very precise on a bunch of things just because I like to go freestyle as far as my crafting. I like freestyle crafting and I like simple crafting. So I'm not very precise on a bunch of this stuff. Now, as far as measurements, of course you have to be precise. I know that just from baking for years and years. I know you have to have precise measurements. I know that. So even with cards, you have to have precise measurements for everything to fit. But when it comes to things like this, if it's not perfectly in the middle, I'm fine with that. It's not a problem to me. All right, let's get this third one. It's a little banner tail cut. Okay. And then I'm wanting the banners not to just lay flush. I want them to kind of have a little whimsy there at the bottom. So just with trusty old thumb and thumbnail, kind of crimp it up just a little bit. And that's going to give you that little bit of dimension on your banners. And if you are a crafter that likes to distress with distress inks, you can so do that on these cards. I like to do it. It just takes a little more time. And if you're in a hurry to get some Christmas cards done, let's just go for it. Let's just get it done. How about that? All right. So now what you're going to do is you are going to line these banners up. You're going to make the middle banner a little higher than the two side banners, just so you have that little bit of definition there. Okay, so we are going to use our ATG and get that accomplished right quick. now that we have our 3 banners adhered down, we are going to create this tag here. And this is a piece of white scrap cardstock that I cut at 1.5 by 2.5. And it is going to be the base for this stamped image. And we're going to stamp that in black with our Memento Tuxedo black here. Now, if you don't have Memento, you use whatever black ink that you have. All right, now that we have that accomplished, what I like about this phrase that's in this May Made It stamp set is it has a little void place here that you can add your tiny hole that you're going to make with your hole punch. And like I said, you can make that with any type of hole punch that you have. A tiny one. This is going to be about a 1/16, I believe. And what I'm going to do is use my tag punch board from We Are Memory Keepers, and I'm just going to, here, this is the hole punch part on this, and I'm going to get this as centered in that void as I can. And see, I didn't even do that, but that's good because the higher it is on this piece of cardstock, the easier it's going to be to adhere it. So even if you do put it in the middle, it's still easy enough because that's what I did here. And if you go up a little higher, it's going to be just as easy, even a little easier. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to wrap baker's twine around twice. So 2 times, we're going to double that up. And so you are going to need 26 inches of baker's twine. Okay, so let's measure that out here. I have 16, and then I have 26. We're gonna snip that. And if you get a little bit more, that's fine. If you get a little less, it's not gonna be as easy, but you will be able to still work with that. All right, so what we do is have our tail of twine here, and you're going to have a good, I'd say that's a good 5 inches hanging out on this side of that card. Now, what I did was I just put the twine on the inside there. All right, you're going to pull this edge over, and you're going to loop your sentiment piece through, just through that way, okay? All right, and then you're going to go around with that twine inside the card again, and then go around on this side again. Then you're going to take both tails and pull tight. Okay? You're going to position your tag wherever you would like it to stay. This is where I did mine, and it is right at the edge. I'm going to do that once more. Right at the edge. And then we're going to line up the twine at the tops of your shorter banners. Remember, this one's a little bit taller on the card. So we're going to line the twine up with your shorter banners. And then we're going to come together. And we're going to tie the shoe, okay? So all you're doing is tying. You've tied it, and now you're going to put your finger and you are going to make a knot. So you're going to tie it one more time. You're going to make sure that your finger is taut there and keeping that string taut, and then you're going to tie it again and get you a knot. Okay? And see, look at that, how cute that already is. Great tag placement if you're happy with it. All right, you go ahead and make you a bow with your tails. Make a loop, pull through. And then you're going to keep your loops up top and you're going to bring your tails down. All right. And when you are happy with your loop size on your bow, those are a little big for me, so I'm going to pull them out just a little bit. You're just pulling on your tails to get those bows the size that you want. Okay, that looks good to me. And then what you are going to do is get your liquid adhesive, and you're going to just a little dot will do you under that tag so it stays still where you want it. I'm wanting it more over here, so we're coming back. There we go. And then you're going to want to put just a dot under the tag at the top there, right under that corner. You're going to want to put a dot of glue, hold it down for just a moment, and then just for safety's sake, if you're going to mail this, you're actually going to mail it so the bow and ribbon doesn't come apart. I put just a little dot, let me try to get it where you can see it. I put just a little dot back behind the knot of the bow, okay? Just a little dot, and press down, and then get those loops like you want them while you're keeping it pressed down. And I think I like the tails. If you think the tails are too long, this is the time. Well, I might let that glue dry just a little bit, but then you would cut your tails where you want them, the length you want them. But I like the tails how they are there, so I think I'm good with that. And that is one card down. In less than 20 minutes, you have one card made. Guess what, guys? The next one is even less than 20 minutes. Way less than 20 minutes. It's a lot easier. All right, we'll be right back to do the next one. All right, are you ready? Here is our next card. Super simple, and it's going to get you out of a bind if you have Christmas cards that you forgot to make, and you've got that coworker or that new person that has come into church and you don't have a card for them. You can make these up really quickly and have them on hand. Easy peasy card. All right, so we have started with that same card base as we did the first card. All right, and it's the tall card that opens at the bottom, same as the first card. The difference in our pattern paper that's going to go on top here is this base, remember, is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Our cardstock or paper that's going to go on top of the base is just 1/8 of an inch smaller on both sides. Okay, so you're going to take your T-square or graph paper like I have here. This is from Stamp It Up. I love this graph paper. I've never found anything else that is as good to me as this graph paper, because I can stamp on this, get it dirty, it can crumple up. I throw it away. It comes in a great big pad of sheets, and so there is no worry if you're getting it dirty. Anyway, this piece of paper that's going to go on top of that card base is 1/8 smaller than the card base on both sides. So here is 4 1/4, and I've cut it at that hash mark right below 4 1/4. Here is 5 1/2 there, and I have cut this piece of paper at the hash mark just below 5 1/2. Okay, so we are 1/8 of an inch smaller on both sides to fit on this card base, and that's going to give you a pretty mat. See there? It's going to give you a pretty mat after you adhere it down. Okay, we have our paper that's 1/8 of an inch smaller on both sides, adhered to our 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card base. Okay, now we are going to make a tag with a piece of scrap craft paper. So if you don't have actual craft paper, you can just use a taupe paper or a tan paper, off-white, cream, whatever the case may be, as long as it matches, coordinates, goes with. If you're into that, if you're not, mix patterns. It's all good. This piece of craft cardstock is cut 2 3/4 by 4 1/2. So 4 1/2 by 2 3/4. Okay? And what I'm going to use is my tag punch maker. But if you do not have the tag punch board by We Are Memory Keepers, all you do is use your scissors, snip off and snip off, and you can use a T-square to accomplish that. Line it up, snip it off, line it up, snip it off. I found this at, I think, Tuesday morning for just a couple of bucks, and I couldn't pass it up. It was one of the best buys I've ever made at Tuesday morning, at least. Okay, so if you can see here, it's got letters, and the higher up on the letters you go, the bigger your snip is going to be on the side. Okay, so if you're using the tag punch board, what you're going to do is you're going to take your piece of cardstock and you're going to go up to the F line, pull your guard down, take your blade out, line it up, hold down the guard and your cardstock at the same time, and go across. And there is your first edge off. And then you're going to flip it over, go back up to F, guard down, blade out, holding both, and go across. And there are your corners done for your tag. And then you line the top here, that top edge with this, center it up, press down, and you have your hole. And you have made a tag. Very easy. Now, it is also very easy just with scissors and a 1/16 hole punch. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to stamp on this tag. And I am using the Rich Cocoa ink from Memento. All right. We're going to stamp old Saint Nick on there. And for this, I need my bigger stamp block. Put him on. And this is a great way to use these image stamps for those of you that do not like to color. There are some days that I love it and I love going in there and getting all those colors done. And there's some days I'm like, I do not want to do that. And I love being able to do a tone on tone stamping and not having to color it at all. Now, when you get yours on here and do a tone on tone, if you want to color it, you can still color it, even tone on tone. But I think this particular method is an easy way to stamp without having to color. All right, now on bigger images like this, I like to go around, just make sure that it does not come up while you're going around. And you're pressing in the middle and all around the edges, and it just came up. But we're good. All right, yay. I love it when a stamped image comes together. Anybody that gets that quote, you're as old or older than I am. All right. So we've got Old St. Nick stamped on there. And I should have just left that ink open, because let's go ahead and do our sentiment piece also. Okay? So this particular sentiment piece comes from the same stamp set from Me. And it is A Jolly Christmas sentiment. And so we have cut our piece of cardstock, just plain white cardstock, at 1 inch by 2 1/4. So 1 inch by 2 1/4. Okay. And all you're going to do is get that smaller block, your cocoa or brown ink, and stamp that image right on there. And you can rock it back and forth. Just make sure it does not come up. And usually it is a very clean and crisp image that you get from Me Stamps. I love that. Look how crystal clear that is. Thank you, Me, for your products that you make us. I love them. All right, so now what we're going to do, I'll get that cleaned up later. What we're going to do is use our tape runner on the back of that sentiment, and we're going to line it up with St. Nick. And I covered up his shoes. Now, if you want to stamp him a little higher, go for it. I'm good with the way it is. And I think I come down just a little bit. So you're going to line that up as far down or as far up as you would like. And I pretty much did it right at it, like my other one. I think I did St. Nick a little bit higher on this tag than that one, but I'm good with that. He looks good. All right, he's stamped. He has his sentiment. What we have to do now is attach our baker's twine, and this is that old creative memory, no, close to my heart. I have some old creative memory tags too. That old close to my heart baker's twine, and you're going to need 7 inches. So we're going to line that up here. 7 inches. Snip. All right, and then you are going to do a library knot, is what I call it anyway. You're going to go through the hole with both of your ends. Okay? And then you're going to pull those ends forward and go through the loop that you have created here. Okay? So easy, easy. Both ends through the hole that you've made for your tag. And then those ends go through the loop and you pull up. And there is your library knot on your tag. Okay? And as you can tell, all we have to do now is adhere this tag to that card base and you're done. You have your card made. So what we're going to attach it with, see, it sits up just a little bit off of that card. We're going to attach it with some foam dots. All right, we got the foam dots on there. And now you're going to attach it to the middle center of your card base. And that's it. You're done with that second card. How easy was that? Very, very easy. So, I hope that you have enjoyed making these cards with me. They were super simple, but I wanted to make them super simple and something that you could make with the scrap paper and cardstock that you have in your stash, just so that you can get those last minute Christmas cards finished. Let me know what you thought about these. If you are not a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. I hope you have enjoyed making these cards. If you have any questions whatsoever, leave me a comment below. I will do my best to answer them. Thanks so much for watching. Y'all have a blessed day.